All right, let's talk trucking. For so many of you out there, the road isn't just, asphalt and deadlines. It's your office. It's your livelihood. It feels like it's always there, right, Terry? But what happens when things start changing? When the very ground under your wheels feels like it's shifting? When everything from huge investments down to, like, a local spill messes with your day? Today, we're doing a deep dive into some of these big shifts shaking up the trucking world. We're talking massive money pouring in, the tech you use for work, evolving, new rules coming out of Washington that hit your wallet, and even just those everyday road hazards that can totally wreck your schedule. Our goal here is simple. Cut through the noise, figure out what really matters for you, and help you see these changes from all angles. We've got some fresh reports, insights in places like Truckers VA, lifestaytrucker.com. Good stuff. We'll dig into where billions are going, how load boards are changing shape, what new regulations could mean for your CDL, your career, and yeah, how one local mess can ripple out everywhere.
It's definitely a dynamic picture. And what's really interesting, I think, is how a lot of these changes, they have two sides, right? They offer some big opportunities, sure, but also some pretty significant challenges. We need to look past the headlines, really get into the real-world impact on you, the driver.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
Yeah.
First half of 2025 alone, get this, $136.6 billion poured into U.S. transportation assets. That number is just, wow, more than the annual budget of a lot of countries.
It's a staggering figure, absolutely.
But when we hear numbers like that, I always wonder, does it actually mean better days for the driver? Or is it more complicated?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the $136 billion question here. This money isn't just landing in one spot. The reports show it's hitting like three main areas. First, you've got infrastructure. Think highways, bridges, ports, those crucial intermodal hubs, fixing stuff up.
Okay, that sounds potentially good.
Right. Second is mobility tech. This is the future stuff, electric trucks, hydrogen fuel setups, and yeah, autonomous systems are in there too.
The tech piece. Always controversial.
Always. And third, a big chunk is going into logistics and warehousing. So more distribution centers, smarter tech for matching loads, expanding cold storage, the whole network, basically.
So it's touching everything from the road itself to the software you might use.
Exactly. The whole ecosystem of how freight moves.
And why now? Why this huge flood of cash all of a sudden?
Well, it's not totally out of the blue. Think about the last few years. The pandemic showed just how fragile supply chains can be. Plus, e-commerce is just exploding, right? That needs a massive logistics backbone.
True.
Then you've got government incentives pushing for greener tech, for fixing infrastructure. And frankly, there's a lot of hype around new tech. And investors see potential profits down the line. They know America runs on trucks.
Okay, so money's flowing into these big areas,
Right.
roads, tech, warehouses. But let's bring it back to the person actually driving the truck. What does this really mean for them? Is this investment wave going to lift all boats or?
Or not. Yeah, it's
Sure.
definitely a mixed bag. Let's look at the potential positives first. Better roads. That could mean less wear and tear on your rig. Fewer busted tires from potholes. Maybe smoother trips.
That'll be nice.
For sure. More logistics hubs could mean more freight options, maybe closer to home, cutting down those unpaid deadhead miles. And even the new tech, while scary for some, might eventually create new jobs, like EV maintenance specialists or people supporting autonomous operations. New roles.
Okay, so there are potential upsides,
Yeah,
but I'm sensing a but coming.
there's always a but, isn't there?
Well.
Here's the skeptic's take, and it's a loud one in the trucking community. Investors are looking for ROI, return on investment. That doesn't automatically mean better pay or conditions for drivers.
Their priority isn't necessarily your paycheck.
Exactly. And all that money pouring into autonomous tech. Many drivers see that as a direct long-term threat to their jobs. Understandably so. Same with warehouse automation. Great for efficiency? Maybe. But could mean fewer jobs for dock workers, which impacts the whole chain. We saw this quote from a driver just perfectly capturing that frustration. He said something like, "They're investing billions in roads and robots, but I'm still fighting for $2 a mile. Where's my return?"
Oof. Yeah, that cuts right to it, that feeling of disconnect.
It really does.
So it's complicated. Opportunities maybe, but also real concerns. It really shows why we need to look at this stuff from every angle, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Adaptability seems key. Understanding where the industry is heading, not just where it's been.
Speaking of heading in new directions,
Right.
let's talk about how you actually find work. Data Freight and Analytics, massive player, right?
Yeah.
They just expanded their load board. Feels like trucking's big tent just got, well, bigger. Maybe blurrier, too.
It certainly did get bigger. DAT rolled out 8 new categories on its DAT 1 platform. They're definitely broadening their scope beyond the traditional semi-truckload. The ones really making waves are things like cargo vans, for that quick, expedited freight, last-mile stuff.
Right, the Amazon effect.
Totally. Then there's box trucks, kind of bridging that gap between the vans and the big rigs, and also power only. That's for carriers who just have the tractor, no trailer, connecting them with shippers who need power units. It shows DAT is watching the market closely.
So why are they doing this now? What's the driver?
Well, like you said, e-commerce, last mile demand, it's booming. Shippers want options for smaller, faster loads. Retailers are using smaller vehicles more. And you've got a lot of independent operators jumping in with cargo vans, box trucks. The barrier to entry is just lower than buying a Class 8 rig.
Sure. Much lower cost.
So DAT is basically keeping up. They're formalizing that sort of gig economy side of trucking that's been growing, staying competitive.
Okay, so on one hand, this sounds like it could open doors for a lot of people, especially if you have a smaller vehicle.
Yeah.
But I bet there are drivers of bigger rigs, maybe established carriers, looking at this with some serious concern.
Mm-hmm.
What's the real talk?
Yeah.
The pros and cons for drivers.
You nailed it. There are definitely two sides. The upside, more opportunities for small operators. You don't need $150,000 for a semi to start booking freight on DAT now. If you've got a cargo van, maybe you get better visibility for that expedited work. Power-only guys might see more options too. It diversifies things.
More choices.
But the concerns are pretty major too. A lot of drivers worry about a fluid market.
Meaning lower rates.
Exactly. More competition, especially from folks with lower operating costs, could push rates down for everyone. We hear about box truck headaches already. The pay might not match the costs of insurance, maintenance,
Right, it's not always cheaper to run smaller.
Not necessarily. And there's this fear of platform dilution. Will shippers start expecting cargo van prices even for loads that really need a semi?
That's a valid point.
We heard from one fleet manager who said, basically, DAT are smart. They're following the freight. But I worry they're making it too easy for lowball players to undercut the established market.
So it's this tension between access and market stability. Fascinating.
It really highlights that relationship between the tech platforms and the actual operators. It's constantly shifting.
So big money changing the infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
digital platforms changing how we find work. It all feels like constant motion. And that motion often kicks up dust in Washington, right? Let's shift gears to regulations. A couple of big ones on the table. Trying to fix things, maybe?
Maybe. The intentions are usually stated as improvements, but the reception from the industry can be, mixed.
Okay, first up, FMCSA. They've got a new proposal, supposedly to improve how they review roadside inspection and crash data. Sounds good on paper, right? Better data, fewer errors. But you talk to truckers, carriers, they're skeptical. Very skeptical. Why?
Yeah, the skepticism runs deep on this one. So what FMCSA is proposing is basically a new review process. It would let carriers challenge certain violations or how crashes are attributed to them after the fact. The goal, they say, is to make the data in the safety measurement system, the SMS, which feeds your CSA score, more accurate.
Okay, accuracy is good, so what's the problem?
Well, the problems are pretty fundamental, according to critics. First, there's still no real accountability for bad data at the source. If an officer makes a mistake on a report, getting it fixed is still a nightmare.
Right, the burden is on the driver or carrier.
Always. Second, crash fault is still super messy. You could be legally parked on the shoulder, get slammed from behind, and it still might count against your record as a reportable crash, even if you did nothing wrong.
That seems incredibly unfair.
It feels that way to many. Then there are questions about how long reviews will take, what evidence you need. It's unclear. And small carriers, they often don't have the time or staff to constantly fight these things.
Yeah, the admin burden.
Exactly. One safety director basically said, this just sounds like more bureaucracy without any guarantee they'll actually fix the bad data.
For listeners, that CSA score, it's not just a number on a website. Bad data there can seriously mess up your business, your livelihood. Can you break down why it's such a critical issue?
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. Bad data leads to a bad CSA score. And that triggers a whole cascade of negative stuff. Fewer loads, because brokers and shippers look at those scores. Much higher insurance premiums, sometimes prohibitively high.
Wow.
You get targeted for more inspections, which means more potential downtime, more hassle. It all adds up to stress, lost income, time away from home. It's a direct hit to your bottom line and your quality of life.
So this FMCSA proposal, while aiming for improvement, isn't really hitting the mark for many.
That's the feedback, yeah. Industry groups like the ATA say the plan lacks teeth. They want independent review panels. OOIDA basically slams the system, saying it's still stacked against drivers.
Yeah.
They're asking for things like real-time ways to correct bad crash data, automatically removing crashes where the driver clearly wasn't at fault, maybe using dash cam evidence more effectively, or even third-party appeal boards. Real fixes, not just process tweaks.
Got it. Okay, so that's one regulatory angle. Then there's this other bill, the Safer Truckers Act, introduced in Florida by Senator Ashley Moody. This one wants U.S. residency and English proficiency for a CDL. That sounds potentially explosive.
It's definitely stirring the pot. The proposal has a few key parts. Requiring proof of U.S. residency to get or renew a CDL, a mandatory English language proficiency test. You'd have to demonstrate you can speak and read it, and tighter federal rules for FMCSA enforcement across all states.
And the justification is?
Public safety. It gained traction after a specific tragic accident involving a foreign-born driver. So the framing is all about ensuring drivers can understand signs, communicate, etc. But this hits a nerve because, let's be real, a significant portion of the U.S. trucking workforce is made up of immigrants.
Right, the industry relies heavily on them.
Hugely. Many learn English on the job. Companies actively recruit foreign-born workers to fill driver shortages. So a bill like this could have massive implications for the labor pool.
So you've got the safety argument on one side. But critics, including a lot of drivers themselves, are saying this misses the point, maybe it's even discriminatory. What are the main arguments clashing here?
Okay, so supporters focus squarely on safety. Their argument is, if you can't read road signs in English, or understand instructions from dispatch or law enforcement, or communicate in an emergency, that's a direct safety hazard. Full stop. Some also feel U.S. roads should mainly be for U.S. residents who meet these standards.
Makes sense from a certain perspective.
But the critics push back hard. They worry it could lead to racial profiling at DMVs or during inspections. They also point out that there already is an English literacy requirement in the CDL written exam.
Ah, okay, so it duplicates something.
To some extent, yes. And the bigger criticism is that this bill totally ignores the real root causes of accidents. Things like driver fatigue from long hours, pressure to make deliveries, inadequate training, low pay forcing people to push limits, poorly maintained trucks. You know, the list.
Yeah, the systemic issues.
Exactly. We saw this comment from a driver online that just nailed it. Something like, I've seen native English-speaking drivers texting while driving with flip-flops on. Language ain't the problem. Training and respect is.
Wow. That puts it bluntly, doesn't it?
It really does. It challenges the whole premise.
That driver's comment, it really sticks with you. And this whole discussion, it loops back to what Hervey from Life, as a trucker, always talks about, right? Seeing issues from all sides. A policy might sound good, might be intended to help, but if it doesn't actually address the real problem or if it creates new burdens, especially without showing respect for the drivers doing the work, well, it can backfire.
Precisely. Context and real-world impact are everything.
Okay, so moving away from the big picture stuff, the billions, the regulations, sometimes it's the stuff happening right there on the road that hits hardest, the unexpected, the immediate. Like that grease spill that shut down Route 3 East over in Jersey recently, a local incident with huge ripple effects.
Oh yeah, that was a mess. A dump truck spilled some kind of greasy material, apparently near Clifton, New Jersey, and it wasn't a quick cleanup. They were saying it could take days to fully reopen Route 3 East.
Days, wow.
Yeah, and for truckers, Route 3 is a major artery. It connects to I-95, the Turnpike, the Lincoln Tunnel. It's critical freight territory.
So a shutdown there means?
Big problems, massive detours, which means wasted time, wasted fuel, huge headaches with your hours of service clock trying to reroute. And think about the hazard itself. Hitting a patch of grease like that at speed, extremely dangerous, could cause loss of steering control, jackknifing. Serious stuff.
It's just such a stark reminder, isn't it, why those pre-trip inspections are so vital. Checking your load, your equipment. One mistake, one oversight.
And you cause chaos for thousands of other drivers, snarl up millions of dollars in freight, disrupt entire communities. It shows how interconnected everything is.
How do these kinds of spills usually happen? Is it just bad luck?
Sometimes it's equipment failure, like an old seal giving way. But often it's down to poorly secured loads, maybe tanks weren't latched right, or sometimes, unfortunately, inexperienced drivers who haven't been properly trained on handling specific materials. It really just hammers home the basis.
Yeah.
Like, check your gear, secure your load properly, respect the road. It's not just about avoiding a ticket, it's about safety for everyone, including yourself, and keeping the whole system moving.
Absolutely. Okay, let's pivot from a hazard to something potentially positive on the ground.
Yes.
Ford Transport. They just opened a massive new terminal in Toledo, Ohio. We're talking 52 dock doors, 25,000 square feet. Sounds like growth, progress.
Yeah.
But again, the question for drivers is this a win for your work life, or is it just a nice new building for the company brass?
It's a great question. So Ward Transport, they're a long-standing family-owned LTL carrier, right, since 1931. This new Toledo terminal is a big investment for them, driven by growing freight demand in that whole Ohio-Michigan region. You can definitely spend an optimistic take here. Ward's growth could mean more job security for their drivers, potentially more local or regional runs if that's what you're looking for.
Shorter runs, more home time maybe?
Possibly. A big, modern terminal should mean faster loading and unloading, less time sitting at the dock burning your clock. And it signals that Toledo is becoming a really hot freight hub, which could benefit all drivers in the area. More efficiency, maybe better lanes.
Okay, that's the positive view.
Yeah.
But I know drivers are often skeptical about these things. What's the other side?
The skeptical take comes quick. You hear it all the time. Just because it's bigger doesn't mean it's run better.
Right. Shiny building, same old problems.
Could be. The big questions drivers ask are they hiring enough dock workers to keep those 52 doors running smoothly? Are they hiring enough drivers to handle the extra freight without just burning out the current ones?
And the big one, is pay going up? Or just company profits?
That's the core of it. Who really benefits from this expansion? Is it just the company's bottom line? Or will drivers see tangible improvements in their pay, their workload, their treatment? Growth is only good if it doesn't come at the driver's expense.
So true. Whether it's a messy spill causing delays or a brand new terminal promising speed, it always comes back to the driver experience, doesn't it? Do these changes actually make your daily grind better? Do they lead to better pay, better conditions, more respect for the incredibly tough job you do?
That's the bottom line every single time.
Okay, we've covered a ton today. Billions flowing in, tech changing the game, regulation shifting, even local stuff impacting the day-to-day. It's clear the industry is moving fast. And for you, the driver, it must often feel like you're just reacting, right? Reacting to a new rule, a detour, a rate change, constantly adapting to forces outside your control.
That feeling is very real. That sense of being squeezed, of constantly having to adjust, it's exhausting. And this whole environment, all these changes we've talked about, it just highlights how important it is to be proactive. To look out for, number one, really, to try and take some control back in an industry that often feels like it controls you.
Exactly. But what if you could do more than just react? What if you could actually get ahead of these changes? What if you could manage your time, not just for the dispatcher or the ELD, but for yourself? Use that downtime, that off-duty time, to learn new skills, maybe even build other ways to make money. Create a buffer.
Now you're talking about a different level of strategy.
Right. This isn't just about surviving the next downturn or regulation. It's about building a future where you call the shots more.
And that philosophy, that's exactly what drives sites like lifeasitrucker.com and their sister site retirefromtrucking.com. They started out helping people get into trucking, but now they're really focused on empowering drivers to, as they put it, get out on your terms.
Get out on your terms. I like that.
Yeah. They recognize that just reacting isn't enough anymore. You need a plan. You need skills beyond just driving. They're actually teaching truckers how to use new tools, things like AI even, to create extra income streams. Online businesses, side hustles you can manage from the road or during home time.
AI for truckers. How does that work?
It's about using the tools smartly, maybe building niche websites, content creation, digital marketing, things you can learn and manage flexibly. The why is powerful. It can be, as they say, a shield from some of the ups and downs of freight rates in the economy. Imagine having income that's recurring month after month, not tied to mileage or detention time.
That sounds like a game changer. Real security.
It's about building options, helping you retire when you want to, not just when you physically have to. Protecting yourself if, heaven forbid, your company suddenly shuts down, it gives you leverage.
It really shifts the power dynamic, doesn't it? It's about thriving, not just surviving, feeling that respect you deserve, having more control, building a future where you're in the driver's seat of your life, not just your truck.
That's the ultimate goal.
So quick recap. We've seen the big money reshaping roads and tech. We've seen load boards evolve, blurring the lines of freight. We've seen regulators trying to adjust the rules with mixed results. The trucking world, it's constantly moving, constantly changing. That brings challenges, yes, but maybe also new opportunities if you know where to look. For more great tips on navigating all this, definitely check out lifealatrucker.com. And if you're thinking seriously about building that freedom plan, about using your downtime to generate extra income, maybe exploring those AI tools, head over to retirefromtrucking.com. They've got a free guide on retirement prep and training resources. Here's a final thought to leave you with. The big money is moving. The tech is changing. The rules are being rewritten. That's all happening with or without you. The real question is, are you going to move with it, adapt, maybe even lead it in your own way? Or risk getting left behind, taking control of your skills, your time, your future? That feels like the ultimate journey. Drive safe out there.